Carson Wentz will be the starting quarterback for the Washington Commanders this weekend against the Cleveland Browns. And look, the Commanders barely clinging to the 7th seed in the NFC. By a half game, that tie has them a half step ahead of the Lions, the Packers, the Seahawks. And so it's simple. Win your next 2 games and you're in. Browns at home, they should win. Cowboys at home. Cowboys are going to be locked into the 5 seed most likely by week 18.
Right.
Cowboys can rest their starters. And you know what, Chris? Here's the other thing, too. Strategic benefit. If you let the Commanders win that game, you don't have to worry about Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs if you're the Cowboys.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about the red-hot Lions in the playoffs if you're the Cowboys. Let's go ahead and let the Commanders take a spot here because you never know when you're going to cross paths with them, whoever that 7 seed is. If you beat the who knows? You don't want to have to mess around with Aaron Rodgers at Lambeau Field. Well, you wouldn't have to go to Lambeau Field. Never mind. He would come to you. But still, we saw him go to Dallas. We saw what happened. I think Mike McCarthy would very much like to not have Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs. And the easy way to do that is say, hey, we're already locked into the 5 seed. We got nothing more to gain. We're going to rest our starters, Cooper Rush, and empty the bench. And if the Commanders win, so be it. We're about what's best for our team. Oh, and if it keeps Aaron Rodgers out of the playoffs, oops, oh well. And then quietly Mike McCarthy rubs his hands together and is very happy about the development.
Well, I think you do what's best for your team. You know, that's the number one thing. And, you know, I certainly could see that being the approach of the Dallas Cowboys week 18 is, we're the number 5 seed, and we're going to rest it up this week so we can go to Tampa or Carolina the next week and whoop up on them and then get ready for our matchup of one of the top 3 teams in the NFC. So you got to do what's right for your football team there. And, by the way it looks it's going to shake out right now, I would think that's what's going to happen. You know, maybe Dallas starters are in for a drive or 2 early on in the football game. Then they come out. Something of that nature. But, I guess, hey, I was surprised that Ron Rivera went this route, a few weeks ago as far as bringing up Carson Wentz into the quarterback conversation. And, I don't know if I didn't know if he would actually pull the trigger on this. It is interesting. They've won with Taylor Heinicke. I know that he's made some, mistakes as of late, Taylor Heinicke. And I think it's, again, like we've talked about Mike a few times over the last few weeks. He's one of those guys, too, when you watch film of every game, you go, oh, man, he should have hit that. He should have thrown that. What? So he leaves plays and points on the board. But he's clutch, like we've talked about, and he's got it done. But I think Ron Rivera is looking at that's not going to get it done against the better teams in football. And I think that's what he probably looked at last week against the 49ers. We can't just play defense and hope our quarterback doesn't mess the game up and think we're going to beat a team like the 49ers or the Eagles going forward. Then I think that's where he looks at Carson Wentz and goes, wait, there's a greater potential. If Carson Wentz can play well, I got the team in the spot right now where Carson Wentz will be able to take advantage, make more explosive plays, and make them a more dangerous offense and make you defend more of the field because of his big arm. So there is greater potential there, but as we know, Mike, with Carson Wentz, he can do some dumb crap too. And it's just about him finding the line of, making plays and doing dumb crap and finding that sweet spot that works for him.
And remember, we talked about this earlier. Martin Mayhew, the GM of the team, either him or someone at his behest, called every franchise in the offseason to see if their quarterback was available. They considered Jimmy Garoppolo, and then came the shoulder issue. They tried to get Russell Wilson, and they probably should be very happy that didn't work out because they would have given up a lot more than they gave up to get Carson Wentz. But when Wentz came in, it was obvious. He's number 1, Taylor Heinicke's number 2, period. Then Wentz has that win at Chicago on a Thursday night. Remember, that was the press conference where Ron Rivera got upset and stormed off.
Yeah, defended Carson Wentz.
Oh, he's all in with Wentz.
Right.
He's all in with Wentz, and then we find out Wentz has a busted finger.
Right.
So then Heinicke comes in. They win 5 out of 6 games or something like that. I mean, they get hot.
And he took a shot at Carson Wentz and then said, what is Heinicke doing? Winning?
Yeah.
He took the worst shot of anybody out of all of us, Carson Wentz. I know, Mike. It is an interesting turn of events. What about you, though? Would you have done this? Do you agree with this decision? What do you think about it overall? What's your 2 cents?
I feel like Taylor Heinicke's ceiling is lower than Carson Wentz's.
Right.
And there are too many moments when Heinicke plays where you just get lucky in that ball that he threw up for grabs didn't get snatched out of the air by the defensive return for a touchdown.
Yeah,
How many? It seems like there's one of those every game where it should have been a pick six the other way. When they beat the Packers, there were multiple of those moments, and it just worked out as a matter of pure luck. Well, you can't keep flipping the coin and having it comes up heads over and over and over again. And so Wentz is healthy. Wentz played. They were very happy with what Wentz did. It was his first game action since that Bears game on October 13. So look, at a certain point you take a step back and say, okay, both guys are healthy. Both guys are playing at an acceptable level. Which is the guy that we brought in here to be the starter? Why is this even a conversation? Of course it's Carson Wentz at this point. And that's why we see when the backup is playing well and the starter is injured and the starter gets healthy, but the backup keeps playing, that's because the backup's playing well. The moment the backup cools off, that's when you go back to the starter. That we've seen that time and again. Yeah. So with the season on the line, they're putting their best foot forward. Even though both guys have flaws, I feel like Wentz has the higher ceiling. Yeah. And so I understand it, and it's hard to second guess the outcome because I think the Commanders have ridiculously overachieved this year, especially when you consider all the crap that Ron Rivera's had to deal with at the top of the organization, distracting his players, how he's kept them focused and motivated and driven. And I think that's part of it too. It's not just a meeting of the coaching staff and deliberation there. I think one of the reasons it took until Wednesday is he probably wanted to take the pulse of the team and make sure that guys understood or just see where they were. Because you don't want to have a schism in your locker room when you've got 2 games you have to win in order to punch your ticket to the postseason.
Yeah, that's right. And he's usually pretty good, it seems like, at gauging the temperature of his football team, Ron Rivera. He's great in that department. And I think the other thing, too, that, you were kind of alluding to is, and we've hit on this a little. Yeah, you said it. The potential Wentz is greater. And I'm kind of excited to see what he can do with this Washington football team as of right now. Again, you said it, they had all the dysfunctional things off the field, and they weren't good early in the year. That's where I want people to realize, Carson Wentz wasn't great early in the year, but there was issues with the team, and, that's where I felt bad for him. They kind of got the offensive line and the run game going as soon as he got hurt, and we haven't got to see him with this cast of characters or this new formula, and that's where I think he can be dangerous to the potential point, because they can run the ball pretty effectively. They've run the ball on just about everybody except the 49ers. And now you go, oh, wait, with Terry McLaurin and Curtis Samuel and Jahan Dotson and a guy that, can stand in the pocket and throw the ball down the field, and we protect well enough to do that, there is something, there's some things here to go, ooh, they could be dangerous here. And that's where I'm excited to see. So let's see what they do against Cleveland this weekend, and maybe that's what they're looking at. Maybe they're going, hey, we feel like we can beat Cleveland. Dallas, another game to kind of get his feet wet. We don't expect them to be playing their starters, and then we can go into the wild card round, and he should be full system go here and be a dangerous offense. We'll see if that happens, but I do think there's a potential for that.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.